or make her crawl back. There comes a moment in life when you stand at a crossroads, when the choices you've made, the paths you've walked, and the battles you've fought all come together in a single defining moment. That moment is not one of weakness, but one of profound strength. It is in that moment that you have to make a choice to reclaim your power, to stand tall, and to refuse to let anyone or anything diminish your worth. Reclaiming your power is one of the most significant and transformative actions you can take in your life. Often we give away our power without even realizing it through people's opinions, situations, or circumstances that make us question our worth. But to truly live in alignment with our purpose and potential, we must first understand that our power is ours to control, and it is not for anyone else to define. When you reclaim your power, you step into a space of self-confidence, peace, and resilience. You recognize that your strength comes from within, and that nothing and no one can take it away unless you allow it. It starts with recognizing your value. Each of us is born with inherent worth. The challenge comes when others, or even ourselves, question that worth. We are taught from an early age to seek external validation. Whether it's from parents, teachers, friends, or partners, we often measure our value by how others see us. But what happens when that external validation disappears? What happens when people walk away, criticize, or even betray us? If our sense of power is based on others' approval, we risk losing our footing when those outside forces change. But when we take the responsibility to cultivate self-worth, we stop relying on others to define us. One of the first steps in reclaiming your power is to disconnect from the belief that your worth is determined by others. It can be incredibly difficult, especially in relationships, but understanding that no one else has the ability to define who you are is liberating. People will come and go and their opinions may change, but your worth remains constant. It is not shaped by the fleeting opinions of others or the temporary situations you encounter. Your value is defined by the truth of who you are, not by what others may say or do. When we give our power away, we are essentially allowing someone else to control our emotions, decisions, and reactions. This can lead to a constant cycle of trying to please others or seeking approval, which never truly brings satisfaction. It's a cycle of external dependence that leaves us vulnerable to disappointment and resentment. When you reclaim your power, you take back control of your emotional and mental well-being. You no longer allow someone else's words or actions to determine how you feel about yourself. Instead, you become the one who dictates your response. You choose how to react, how to feel, and how to move forward, regardless of what others do. Reclaiming your power is also about setting boundaries. It's about recognizing that you have the right to protect your energy and your peace. You do not have to tolerate disrespect, mistreatment, or negativity from others. Setting boundaries is an act of self-respect. It is a statement that you value yourself enough to stand firm in your beliefs, values, and needs. When you set boundaries, you're telling the world that your peace, happiness, and well-being matter. This doesn't mean you become rigid or unkind, but it means you no longer compromise your worth to make others comfortable. Part of reclaiming your power is also about letting go of the past. Too often, we hold on to past mistakes, failures, or betrayals that keep us stuck in a place of hurt and frustration. When we stay attached to the past, we allow it to dictate our present and future. But when you reclaim your power, you free yourself from the chains of past experiences. You learn to forgive not for the other person, but for yourself. Letting go of resentment and hurt allows you to step into the future with clarity and strength. It doesn't mean forgetting the past, it means releasing its hold over you so that you can live fully in the present. Another essential part of reclaiming your power is self-care. Taking care of your mind, body, and soul is a direct reflection of how much you value yourself. When you prioritize your health and well-being, you are telling the universe and those around you that you are worthy of love, respect, and care. This could mean taking time for yourself to recharge, practicing mindfulness, or engaging in activities that bring you joy. It could also mean seeking therapy or professional help to work through any emotional or mental challenges you may be facing. Reclaiming your power involves nurturing all parts of yourself so that you can show up fully in your life. The journey of reclaiming your power is not always easy. It requires patience, practice, and a willingness to face your fears. It may involve confronting your own insecurities and beliefs that have been holding you back. But it also involves taking action, making decisions that align with your highest good, even when it's uncomfortable or difficult. You may have to step outside of your comfort zone, but the rewards are worth it. As you reclaim your power, you start to see changes in your life. You become more confident, more assertive, and more aligned with your true purpose. You attract the right people, opportunities, and experiences that support your growth. You realize that the power was always within you, waiting to be tapped into. Reclaiming your power is a lifelong process, but it is one of the most important steps you can take to live a fulfilled and meaningful life. When you do, you stop being at the mercy of others' opinions and actions. You step into your authentic self and you move through the world with grace, strength, and confidence. You realize that you are worthy of everything you desire: love, success, happiness, and peace. And most importantly, you recognize that your power is yours to keep forever. Seeking external validation is something we've all been guilty of at some point in our lives. From childhood, we are conditioned to seek approval, whether it's from parents, teachers, friends, or romantic partners. But we are taught that our worth is measured by the approval of others. This belief often continues into adulthood, leading us to shape our decisions, behaviors, and self-image around what others think of us. The need for validation can be subtle or overt, but it can be all-consuming, often leaving us feeling empty and disconnected from our authentic selves. The truth is, when we rely on others to define our worth, we are giving away our power. The journey toward personal freedom begins when we stop seeking validation from others and start validating ourselves. When you stop chasing validation, you begin to recognize that your self-worth is inherent and does not depend on anyone else's opinion. Validation is not a currency you should constantly exchange with others to feel good about yourself. Instead, it is something you need to give yourself. Society often places a premium on external success: how well you perform in your career, how many people admire you, or how much wealth you accumulate. But all of these external markers of success can be fleeting. What happens when you lose a job, or a friendship ends, or someone doesn't acknowledge your efforts? If your sense of self-worth is tied to these external factors, you risk feeling lost and disillusioned. But when you validate yourself, you free yourself from the unpredictable nature of others' opinions. You begin to realize that your worth is not determined by what others think of you, it is determined by how you see yourself. Self-validation begins with self-awareness. You must take the time to look inward and acknowledge your strengths, weaknesses, achievements, and even your flaws. Self-awareness is the foundation of self-acceptance. When you are aware of your own worth, you don't need others to tell you how valuable you are. Self-validation involves recognizing your accomplishments, no matter how small they may seem. It means celebrating your progress without waiting for someone else to give you credit. This practice of self-recognition can transform your mindset. Instead of seeking praise from others, you learn to appreciate your own efforts and contributions. Self-validation also requires self-compassion. It's about treating yourself with kindness, especially when you make mistakes. Instead of beating yourself up or seeking reassurance from others, you learn to offer yourself the same understanding and patience that you would offer a friend. Mistakes and failures are part of the human experience, and when you stop seeking external validation, you allow yourself the space to learn from those experiences without judgment. You recognize that your value doesn't decrease when you face setbacks; your worth remains constant. One of the reasons we seek external validation is because we fear rejection. It's a natural human desire to want to be liked and accepted. However, when you are constantly chasing others' approval, you become dependent on their acceptance. This dependence leads to insecurity and a lack of autonomy. You may find yourself altering your behavior to fit in or please others, even if it means sacrificing your authenticity. The moment you stop seeking validation, you break free from the chains of insecurity. You realize that rejection or disagreement from others does not diminish your worth. In fact, it is a sign that you are honoring your authentic self and no longer conforming to others' expectations. Another significant aspect of self-validation is the ability to set boundaries. When you constantly seek approval, it becomes difficult to say no or protect your energy because you fear disapproval. But when you start validating yourself, you no longer feel obligated to please everyone around you. You understand that your time, energy, and emotions are valuable, and you set boundaries to protect them. These boundaries may be emotional, physical, or mental, but they all serve the purpose of preserving your sense of self and protecting your well-being. Setting boundaries is an act of self-respect and is essential for maintaining your personal power. Without the need for external validation, you become more comfortable asserting your needs and standing firm in your values. The need for validation also often leads us into toxic relationships or situations that drain us emotionally. When you rely on someone else to affirm your worth, you may stay in relationships that are unhealthy or unbalanced, hoping for that validation that never truly comes. The cycle of seeking validation and never feeling fully satisfied can leave you feeling emotionally exhausted and unfulfilled. But when you stop seeking validation from others, you free yourself from the need for approval. You stop tolerating mistreatment or compromising your values just to gain someone's approval. Instead, you become empowered to seek out relationships that nurture you, support you, and value you for who you truly are. Stopping the cycle of seeking validation doesn't mean that you won't ever want or need affirmation from others. Human beings are social creatures, and we thrive on connection. It's natural to want support, encouragement, and love from others. However, when you stop seeking validation, you no longer rely on it for your self-worth. You can appreciate the positive feedback from others without needing it to define who you are. You can accept praise without attaching your identity to it. Validation from others becomes a bonus, not a necessity. It's an added layer of connection, but not the foundation of your self-esteem. Ultimately, when you stop seeking validation from others, you gain freedom. You gain the freedom to be yourself without fear of judgment or rejection. You gain the freedom to make decisions based on what's best for you, not based on what will earn you approval. Embracing self-love and growth is a fundamental part of living a fulfilled and meaningful life. It involves recognizing that you are worthy of love, compassion, and respect, not because of anything you've done or accomplished, but simply because of who you are. It's the acceptance of your imperfections, the acknowledgement of your strengths, and the commitment to bettering yourself, all while remaining grounded in the truth of who you are. Self-love isn't about being self-centered or narcissistic, rather. It's about creating a deep sense of inner peace and acceptance that radiates outward and influences every aspect of your life. At the core of self-love is the understanding that you are enough just as you are. So much of our society teaches us that we must constantly strive for more success, more possessions, more approval. This external focus often leaves us feeling inadequate or incomplete, as if we are never truly enough. But self-love involves recognizing that you are already whole. It's about understanding that your value is not tied to your achievements, appearance, or the opinions of others. You are inherently worthy simply because you exist. When you embrace this truth, it becomes easier to let go of the need for validation from external sources. You stop chasing after approval because you no longer need it to affirm your worth. Self-love is also deeply connected to self-compassion. Often we are our own harshest critics. We beat ourselves up over mistakes, imperfections, and failures, failing to recognize that these are simply part of the human experience. When we love ourselves, we become more forgiving and gentle with ourselves. We allow ourselves to make mistakes without judgment, understanding that failure is not a reflection of our value but an opportunity for growth. Self-compassion means offering yourself the same kindness and understanding that you would offer a dear friend. Instead of saying harsh things to yourself like "I'm not good enough" or "I'll never succeed," you learn to say, "It's okay to make mistakes. I can learn and improve from this experience." This shift in perspective not only improves your mental well-being but also enhances your ability to grow and evolve. Growth, however, doesn't happen in a vacuum. It requires effort, intention, and the willingness to challenge yourself. Self-love is not about staying comfortable, it's about pushing yourself to grow, even when it's difficult. It's about setting goals, striving to achieve them, and constantly seeking improvement in all areas of your life. Growth means acknowledging the areas where you need to improve and taking deliberate steps toward becoming the best version of yourself. This might mean confronting your fears, stepping outside of your comfort zone, or taking risks that you've previously avoided. Personal growth requires courage, and embracing self-love provides the strength to face those challenges head-on. Growth is also about embracing change. Often we resist change because it's uncomfortable, and it can feel safer to stay in familiar situations, even if they no longer serve us. But true growth involves embracing the unknown and being open to new possibilities. This means stepping away from the old ways of thinking or living that hold you back and being open to new experiences that challenge and stretch you. Whether it's in your career, relationships, or personal habits, growth requires that you remain flexible and adaptable. It's about learning new things, gaining new skills, and expanding your understanding of the world around you. Growth isn't always easy or linear, but it is always worth the effort. In embracing self-love and growth, it's also essential to cultivate self-awareness. Self-awareness is the ability to observe yourself without judgment and to understand your thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. It involves taking a step back and asking yourself what motivates your actions, why you react the way you do, and where your patterns of behavior stem from. Self-awareness allows you to see your strengths and weaknesses, and more importantly, it helps you understand how to improve. It's through self-awareness that we can begin to shed old habits that no longer serve us and replace them with behaviors that align with our true desires and values. Being aware of your triggers, emotions, and thought patterns gives you the ability to respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively. Another key element of self-love and growth is setting healthy boundaries. When you truly love yourself, you understand the importance of protecting your mental, emotional, and physical well-being. This means learning to say no when you need to, without feeling guilty or over-explaining. Boundaries are a sign of self-respect, and they help you maintain your energy and focus. By setting boundaries, you prioritize your needs and prevent others from draining your energy or overstepping into your personal space. Healthy boundaries allow you to focus on what truly matters to you, while also enabling you to show up for others in a way that's sustainable. Part of growth is also the recognition that it's okay to ask for help. Many of us are taught to be independent and self-sufficient, but self-love involves understanding that we don't have to do everything alone. It's okay to seek support when you need it, whether it's from friends, family, or professionals. Asking for help is not a sign of weakness, rather, it's a sign of strength and self-awareness. It takes courage to admit that we can't do it all by ourselves, and when we embrace that truth, we allow ourselves the opportunity to grow and heal. Self-love and growth are interconnected and work together to create a balanced, fulfilling life. When you love yourself deeply, you are more motivated to grow and improve. You become more open to new experiences, challenges, and opportunities because you trust in your ability to handle whatever comes your way. And as you grow, you learn to love yourself even more because you see the progress you've made and the strength you've developed along the way. Ultimately, embracing self-love and growth is about living in alignment with your true self. It's about becoming the person you are meant to be, free from the limitations of fear, doubt, and insecurity. It's about honoring your journey and recognizing that you are worthy of all the love, success, and happiness that life has to offer. The more you love yourself, the more you are able to grow. And the more you grow, the more you are able to love yourself. It's a beautiful, ever-evolving cycle that leads to a life of fulfillment, purpose, and joy. The fear of rejection is a deeply ingrained emotion that many of us experience at various points in our lives. It's a natural part of the human condition, rooted in our desire to be accepted and loved by others. Rejection can take many forms, whether it's a failed relationship, a missed opportunity, or simply not fitting in with a particular group. This fear can be paralyzing, holding us back from pursuing our dreams, expressing ourselves authentically, and reaching our full potential. However, learning to let go of the fear of rejection is one of the most empowering and liberating things you can do. When you stop fearing rejection, you open the door to countless possibilities and experiences that can lead to growth, success, and deeper self-awareness. The first step in overcoming the fear of rejection is recognizing that it is a universal experience. No one is immune to rejection. Everyone at some point in their lives has faced a moment when they were told no, overlooked, or dismissed. The fear of rejection often stems from a feeling of inadequacy, as if being rejected somehow diminishes our worth. We may interpret rejection as a personal flaw, believing that it means we are not good enough, not worthy of love or success. However, this belief is based on a misunderstanding of what rejection actually represents. Rejection is not a reflection of who we are as people, but rather a result of circumstances, timing, or preferences that are outside of our control. It's important to remember that rejection is often about the other person's needs, biases, or limitations, and not a measure of our inherent worth. When you stop fearing rejection, you free yourself from the need for external validation. Rejection often triggers a deep-seated desire to prove ourselves or seek approval from others. We may try to alter our behaviors, personalities, or goals to fit in or gain acceptance. This often leads to a cycle of self-doubt, anxiety, and frustration. But when we release the need for validation, we begin to realize that our worth is not contingent upon others' opinions. Instead of seeking approval, we become more focused on staying true to ourselves and our own values. This shift in mindset allows us to pursue our goals with greater confidence without being held back by the fear of rejection. Another crucial aspect of overcoming the fear of rejection is reframing how we view failure and setbacks. Rejection is often perceived as a failure, but failure is not the end of the road. In fact, failure is an essential part of the growth process. Every successful person has faced rejection at some point. The difference between those who succeed and those who are held back by fear is their ability to learn from rejection rather than let it define them. Rejection is an opportunity for reflection, learning, and improvement. Instead of seeing rejection as a personal indictment, we can view it as a stepping stone toward success. By reframing rejection in this way, we remove the emotional weight it carries and shift our focus to what we can learn from the experience. To move past the fear of rejection, it's also important to understand that rejection does not define us as individuals. It's easy to internalize rejection and allow it to affect our self-esteem. We might begin to believe that being rejected means we are unworthy of love, success, or happiness. However, this is far from the truth. Rejection is a temporary experience, and it does not diminish our value as individuals. Our worth is inherent and does not depend on the approval or acceptance of others. When we internalize this truth, we can better separate our identity from our experiences of rejection. We learn to detach our self-worth from external circumstances and stand firm in the knowledge that we are enough, just as we are. Facing rejection also teaches us resilience. Every time we encounter rejection, we are presented with an opportunity to rise above it and continue pursuing our goals. Resilience is the ability to bounce back from adversity, and rejection is one of the most powerful teachers of this skill. When we embrace rejection as part of the process, we develop a deeper sense of resilience that allows us to keep moving forward, even when things don't go as planned. This resilience comes from within and is nurtured by our belief in ourselves and our capacity to overcome obstacles. The more we face rejection and continue to push forward, the stronger our resilience becomes, enabling us to handle future challenges with greater ease. Another important element in overcoming the fear of rejection is embracing vulnerability. The fear of rejection often arises when we put ourselves out there, whether in relationships, career opportunities, or creative endeavors. Vulnerability is the act of exposing ourselves emotionally, mentally, or physically without knowing what the outcome will be. This can be incredibly intimidating because it opens us up to the possibility of rejection. However, vulnerability is also the key to connection, growth, and authenticity. When we allow ourselves to be vulnerable, we invite others to see us for who we truly are. It's in these moments of vulnerability that we form deep, meaningful connections with others. And even when rejection occurs, vulnerability helps us process the experience with greater ease and understanding. We learn that rejection doesn't diminish us. Instead, it teaches us about ourselves and the world around us. Learning to cope with rejection also involves developing a healthy relationship with fear. Fear of rejection is often fueled by the unknown, the uncertainty of what might happen if we put ourselves out there and face the possibility of rejection. However, fear itself is not the enemy.